Hey everybody, it's Brett and welcome back to my channel where today I am talking about September books, what I'd like to read, what I hope to get through. So stick around. Okay, so a lot of my September is really being driven by the Booker long list. Of course, the short list is being announced on the 23rd. I still have 6 books to go, which seems incredibly overwhelming considering one of them is The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. However, I've started that one on audio and I'm hoping I can kind of drive through it that way while I'm reading these others. This is what I still have to get through. The Rest of Our Lives by Ben Markovits. The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller. Seascraper by Benjamin Wood, which is going to be my next book I'm starting. Misinterpretation by Ledia Xhoga. Oh, and then One Boat, which I just ordered today and is coming out Tuesday, which is a short one, but that's what I have left. So I'm really hoping that if I don't finish all of them by the 23rd, then the ones that end up on the short list are the ones I haven't read yet. Because I'm that kind of person that if they're not on the short list, then I'm going to veer off and go on to something else because there's too much other stuff. All right, so that is primarily where I am at the moment. My thoughts overall on what I've read on the long list, I've enjoyed everything I've read to varying degrees. There's nothing that I haven't liked, but I don't know that I've walked away from any of these books and been like, this is like a monumental achievement. This is incredible. My favorites so far have been, and I talked about this in my last video, Tash Oz, The South, and Susan Choi's Flashlight. But I also really, and I keep thinking about it, is Endling. That's another one that's really kind of I keep coming back to. And I don't know. So that's kind of where I am on those. All right. So a couple of other books that I want to get to this month. The first is Wreck by Katherine Newman. I love Katherine Newman so much, as so many people do. Sandwich last year, I just thought was year before, it was so wonderful. I just think she's hilarious. I love the way her mind works. I think she's such a cool lady. And so I'm really, really excited about this, which, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it picks up where Sandwich left off 2 years later. This is out in October. Then I got sent this book from Xhoga, and thank you for this, called The Quiet Ear, an investigation of missing sound by Raymond Antrobus. It's a memoir. I have to read you because it sounds so fascinating. A groundbreaking exploration of deafness by a young award-winning poet, a memoir, a cultural history, and a call to action. Raymond Antrobus was first diagnosed as deaf at the age of 6. He discovered that he had missing sounds, bird calls, whistles, kettles, alarms. Teachers thought that he was slow and disruptive, and some didn't believe he was deaf at all. The Quiet Ear tells the story of Antrobus's upbringing at the intersection of race and disability. Raised in East London by an English mother and a Jamaican father, educated in both mainstream and deaf schooling systems, Antrobus explores the shame of miscommunication and the joy of finding community and shines a light on deaf education. Throughout, Antrobus sets his story alongside those of other deaf cultural figures, from painters to silent film stars, poets to performers, the inspiring models of deaf creativity he did not have growing up. A singular, remarkable work, The Quiet Ear, is a much-needed examination of deafness in the world. I think it sounds really, really good and perfect for Nonfiction November, which is coming up. Also, a nonfiction book, which again I think sounds really wonderful and is on sale November 4th. And thank you to Washington Square Press for this, which is Fire in Every Direction by Tareq Baconi. Both a love story and a coming-of-age tale that spans countries and continents. Fire in Every Direction balances humor and loss, nostalgia and hope as it takes us from the Middle East to London, from 1948 to the present. Growing up in Amman, a young Tareq would feel trapped by cultures of silence, by a sense of not belonging, by his own growing awareness that he is in love with his childhood best friend, Ramzi. After locating to London for college, Tareq hopes to put aside his past, and he begins to work through an understanding of self as a queer man. Yet as the Iraq War radicalizes young people around the world towards anti-war protest, history comes back to him. Hushed whispers overheard, his grandmother's flight from Haifa, stories of his mother's years as an activist in Beirut, and her return to Palestine during a moment of calm. Living between the region and London, Tareq fits in neither and feels alienated from both. Queerness is policed back in Amman, just as his Palestinianness is abroad. These gradual estrangements escalate, forcing him to grapple with what it means to live in liminal spaces and rethink the meaning of home. Eventually tracing the journey of his family before him, Tareq returns to Palestine. Tareq Baconi crafts a deeply intimate, unforgettable portrait of how a political consciousness, desire, and resistance is passed down through generations. I think this sounds really, really, really wonderful. So, really looking forward to this. I'm going to look at the camera, which is up there. A big heavy hitter for fall. Minor Black Figures by Brandon Taylor. I'm hearing incredible things about this. It's funny because I did not read The Late Americans, and I did read Real Life, and I liked it. I didn't flip out over it like some people did, but I really, really liked it. But this seems really interesting about a painter in New York who meets a seminarian at a bar. It says, over the long summer, the two talk and argue about God, sex, and art. Minor Black artist deals potential answers to questions Wyeth is only now just beginning to ask about what it means to be a Black artist making Black art amid the mess and beauty of life itself. I think this sounds fascinating. So, like I said, I know a few people who have already read it and said it's just brilliant and like his best work. So I'm very much looking forward to this, which comes out October 16th. And thank you so much to Riverhead for this. Then for the holiday spirit, which I'm trying to get into, meaning Halloween, Dan Chaon's One of Us. Dan Chaon is such an interesting writer to me because he writes, effectively, it's like lit fic with horror themes. And this sounds like one of those kind of books, a playfully macabre, utterly thrilling tale about orphan twins on the run from their murderous uncle who find refuge in a bizarre traveling carnival from a master of literary horror. I've got to be honest, it sounds a little bit like that season of American Horror Story, but freak show. But I'm all for it. So we're going to try that. And then one of the things that I'm really trying to prioritize, which I've heard incredible things about, and I think it's going to be so up my alley, is The Director by Daniel Kehlmann. Listen to this. When the Nazis seized power, G.W. Pabst, one of cinema's greatest directors, is filming in France. To escape the horrors of New Germany, he flees to Hollywood. But under the blinding colorful California sun, the world-famous director suddenly looks like nobody. Not even Greta Garbo, who he made famous, can help him. When Pabst receives word that his elderly mother is ailing, he finds himself back in his homeland of Austria, which is now called Ostmark. Pabst, his wife, and his young son are confronted with the barbaric nature of the regime, but the Minister of Propaganda in Berlin wants the film genius. He won't take no for an answer, and he makes big promises. While Pabst still believes that he will be able to resist these advances, that he will not submit to any dictatorship other than art, he has already taken the first steps into hopeless entanglement. The most thrilling novel yet from internationally acclaimed and best-selling author Daniel Kehlmann, the director explores the complicated relationships and distinctions between art and power, beauty and barbarism, cog and conspirator. What I've been told is it's a very apt book for everything that's happening in the United States at this time. But I think it sounds really, really fascinating. So this is one of the ones that I'm absolutely prioritizing for the month after the Booker. And that's it. I might try to do, if I can get through Sonia and Sunny, which is, again, massive, then I might try to slip in some other audiobooks there, but we'll see. I hope you're all doing well. We are headed out this weekend to go to Texas for my daughter's parents' weekend at school. So I'm not looking forward to 95-degree and 100-degree heat with humidity, but c'est la vie. All right. I hope you're all doing well. I will see you soon. Thanks.